Welcome to Spooky Joe's Horror Apocalypse. I'm back in my shack again today. So yeah, I'm going to talk about Ghostwatch, which was first shown on Halloween 1992. And I saw it on Halloween 1992. I was 12 years old, and it scared the living shit out of me. I actually thought it was real, as did a lot of people. I think in the opening sequence there was like a card or a brief moment where it said it was a dramatization, but I didn't see that, and most people didn't see that. I think the general consensus was that this was a real paranormal documentary. And so yeah, it centres around the Early family, who were based in Northolt, a place called Foxhill Drive in West London. And the house has had the attention of supernatural happenings caused by a ghost known as Pipes. I've actually got the DVD. There's a DVD right there. I need to get the Blu-ray for the extra. I'm assuming there's more features on the Blu-ray, but for now I've got the DVD. So yeah, it's hosted by Michael Parkinson. I'm going to take my hat off. Michael Parkinson, who was a chat show host in the UK. He's now dead, sadly, but yeah, he was like a famous chat show host for many years. He's the host of Ghostwatch. But then we also have Mike Smith, Sarah Green, and Craig Charles. The thing is, they've all got the names, their actual names. They're not actors. They're people from UK TV. Sarah Green was in Blue Peter, and she was also on a morning kids show called Going Live, I think with Philip Schofield, if I remember rightly. Mike Smith was her husband, and I think he was originally a Radio 1 DJ, but became a television presenter. And Craig Charles is famous for Red Dwarf, obviously, and a number of other things. I think he's in Corrie too, Coronation Street, which is a UK soap opera. So yeah, that night Halloween 1992, I saw it in my bedroom, and that night ITV was showing probably till midnight horror marathon. I don't think back then the TV went all night. I think it stopped at midnight. So ITV, which was the third channel, Channel 3, was showing the all-night horror marathon, and BBC was showing Ghostwatch. That was an excellent Halloween night. So I was flicking between the two stations. I was watching, I think it was Nightmare on Elm Street was the movie, or one of the big movie, followed by numerous other horror, probably Hammers and Amicus movies and Tygon. But I was flicking between ITV and BBC One to watch Ghostwatch. And so yeah, not a great deal happens in the first half of the Ghostwatch, but we do get the Black Lab story, which is very bleak. Craig Charles goes to see a lady called Yvonne Everly. I wrote it down somewhere, but I can't see. But I'm pretty sure it's Yvonne Everly, a lady in a nearby playground. And there's two ladies there, Yvonne and a Scottish lady, and they're talking about the bizarre events that have happened in the area. And there's a 5-year-old has been stabbed. I wonder what the background in that is. Like, why was he stabbed? And there was a girl who's gone missing. But then the Black Lab story, Yvonne Everly says that her children found a black Labrador which had been slaughtered. But it wasn't just that. It'd been gutted, it was pregnant, and its fetuses had been ripped out of the poor dog and flung around on the floor. Which, how bleak is that? That's extremely bleak. I remember when I was a kid, I found a bag of dead puppies, and that was bad enough. But yeah, this is a lot worse. And then we go back to the house, and we see a mysterious oval-shaped damp patch. I mean, that could be anything. I was thinking that could be anything, really. It doesn't have to be supernatural, but in this case it is, because, is it Lynn Pascoe, the paranormal expert? She says the oval shape is perfectly oval, so it can be nothing else other than a ghost. So if you ever see a perfectly circular or oval damp patch, it could only be a ghost, according to the BBC. So after the damp patch, we hear some banging in the house, and it turns out it's Susan Early, which is the oldest of the kids. She's banging on the pipes, making a hullabaloo. So the BBC believe there's ghosts there, which is a bit odd because there is ghosts there. We know there is. But anyway, this results in Parky and Lynn Pascoe and pretty much everybody else, worrying that it may have been a hoax the entire time. Let's have a drink. But this seems to send the paranormal into it heightens its supernaturalness, and more starts happening. We hear cat noises, and there's a reason for that, but we find out later on in Ghostwatch, and there's more bangs and things happen, and then we get a phone call, and this is someone. A lot of the phone calls, from what I was reading on Internet Movie Database, were real people calling in. So who knows? Maybe the Welsh guy who had a cheese and pickle sandwich really did have a plate that flew off his chair. We'll probably never know, unless we find that Welsh guy. But until we do, we don't know if it was real or not. But we get a phone call about the house, which must have been part of the story, about the fact that I'm assuming in the Victorian past of Northolt, the site of Fox Hill Drive, there lived a woman called Mother Sevens, who was a baby farmer. And she'd also murder the kids. She'd take the babies in for a fee, saying she's going to look after them, but then she'd murder the kids. And she was on the site of the Northolt, the Fox Hill Drive house was on the site of Mother Sevens' house. After the Mother Sevens call, things begin amping up in the house. We're getting various bangings, cat noises, and a picture flies off the wall. What's more scary than that? Nothing scarier than pictures coming off the wall. But we get another phone call, which is another vitally important phone call for the plot. It's a guy who says, in the past, there was a lodger who stayed in the house, a guy called Raymond Tunstall. And this guy, he wasn't the nicest of guys. He was a disturbed paranoid with a string of convictions. For a word I don't really want to say, because as an early YouTube channel, I might get a strike. So just in case, what he was a Jimmy Savile. I think everybody knows what a Jimmy Savile is. But this guy, this Raymond Tunstall, Jimmy Savile his way across Northolt. I mean, what's worse than that? It's being in your house. But Jimmy Savile, Raymond Tunstall, not Jimmy Savile, he has no part in this story, as far as I know. But you never know, maybe he did. But Raymond Tunstall was living in the house, and he was being influenced by what sounds like Mother Sevens. He was talking about, there was a woman inside him, and he put a dress on. So maybe that was the way he was inclined. But in this situation, we think he's being possessed or influenced by Mother Sevens. This gets so bad that Raymond Tunstall offs himself. He does it in the downstairs cupboard, which is the place earlier. We hear that the mum of the Earlys was trapped for a time in there. But then what the guy on the phone goes on to tell us is this Raymond Tunstall, he did it when he lived with his aunt and uncle, who were the people on the deeds for the house. But he was the lodger, and they were on holiday. And because they were away, his corpse was lying there, and he was a fan of cats, and the cats ate his face and various other parts. So he was devoured by his cats, and he was also an absolute scumbag. And we've been hearing cats the entire time. And then we go back to the studio, and we discover that, actually, we're already at the studio, but then we discover that the video that we've been watching on the screen of the house is actually on a time loop, and it's not what's actually going on in Fox Hill Drive. And the camera cuts, and this is quite a chilling moment, the camera cuts to the actual events of what's going on at that point in time, and all hell has broken loose in the house. It's there's things being flung around. We hear cats wowling. Is that a word, wowling? But you know the noise I mean. The noise cats make at night when they're fighting. They hear the wowling noise, and it's black. And then we hear, I think one of the girls, Susan, the older girl, she starts speaking in what we can assume is Pipe's voice, but it may be Mother Sevens. And then Sarah Green, and gets stuck in the downstairs cupboard. The door slams. The little girl, Kimmy, the younger kid, and her mum are escorted out of the house to the police. And then the studio. We go back to the studio, and this was the bit that really scared me as a little boy. We go back to the studio, and everything goes black. I'm left with Parky talking. He's the only one who was brave enough to remain in the studio, and he's talking. And I did notice this time, I couldn't make out, I should have put the subtitles on, but I couldn't make out what was being said. But to definitely say the word Mother Sevens. So maybe Mother Sevens was the one in the house all the time. Maybe she was the overall ghost that was doing all this crazy business at this point. Oh, and then you see Parkinson talking, and it fades out to black, and it finishes. And I genuinely thought that was it. The end of the world as we know it. The ghosts are going to come out of our TV, poltergeist style, and destroy everything we know and love, which didn't happen. But a lot of people felt the same way. Hence the massive backlash the BBC got on because of what they showed on Halloween 92, and it was never shown on TV again, which is a massive shame because I love it. I mean, looking at it as an adult, the acting isn't fantastic, but I saw it as a kid, so it's nostalgic. It is definitely worth a watch. And if you've not seen it, find it and give it a watch and let me know what you think. And that's about it. I hope the video was okay. I was going to talk about trivia, but I thought I'll try and keep the video short and snappy, because I tend to talk for like half an hour, just waffle on. And I noticed that them videos tend to be watched for 2 minutes and then they get turned off. So I thought I'd do a shorter video. So anyway, hope to see you again, and have a good one. See you later.